What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another podcast. Today we're in the office. I got a wonderful guest. Parisa, introduce yourself. Say what's up.
What's up, guys? My name is Parisa, and I am a web designer and growth partner. And what I do for my clients is help them scale their business through a website and just legitimizing their business through Google and marketing and honestly anything that comes with like legitimizing your business. It's kind of, I do everything.
Okay, so
the whole package.
Pretty much, yeah, you build online businesses.
Yes.
To keep it simple. All right, so I wanted to have Parisa on today because we both are in a similar industry. We actually both use High Level, so.
Conveniently enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long ago has it been since you started using High Level? Because I know that you've had Shopify for a long time. So go into that real quick.
So I was using Shopify for the last 3 years probably, and I recently switched over to High Level 3 months ago, honestly. Like, it's been very, very recent. And the first month that I downloaded it and I got the trial subscription, I instantly knew I was going to keep it, and I pretty much canceled everything else. It was like an instant decision for me. Very easy.
All you guys know, I push High Level super hard, but it actually is a fire software. I mean, proof right here, another business owner using High Level. And I'm trying to remember, I think, did you discover High Level before we started connecting or what?
Yes, and actually I had heard you and Derek talking about it a little bit, and so I had heard it in the back of my mind, but I never connected the dots of what it was, and so I discovered it through someone else, and then I realized you were doing it as well, and I'm like, no way, small world.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So TLDR, High Level is going to save your online business.
Yes.
But go back into a little bit more regarding how you've been able to basically get to where you are right now and building online sites with Shopify. Give a little bit of backstory to that, because I know a lot of people out there have tried dropshipping and all e-com stuff. So
yeah, so I started with, going way back. Like, I was doing hair, like way back in the day. And I've always wanted to own my own business and do my own thing, but I didn't really have an avenue or a platform to start doing that. And I actually knew nothing about starting a business. The way I kind of started dabbling was actually in a metal sign company that we started 3-4 years ago. And in doing that, kind of discovered Shopify, started working within Shopify. And I think I just like developed a love for the creativity portion of it, was kind of like, I would say, the main thing. And dabbled a little bit in drop shipping, and that definitely was not my thing. I kind of hated it, not gonna lie.
Same.
But yeah, oh my gosh, that was a whole other thing. But no, I think I just discovered that I love like working with people. I love like building other people's businesses. Like, it was something I just really, really enjoyed. And it came really natural and easy for me. And so I would say probably like 8 months ago is when I really started my own venture, my own business that was like actually legitimate, where I started Wi-Fi designed. I started actually building building websites for people. And then it kind of scaled into like actually legitimizing their business, because I knew what I needed to do at the very beginning. And I'm like, other people aren't doing this. So, and where are they going to get that information? Like, a lot of times you're not going to spend all this time researching and watching YouTube videos.
No.
Like, you only have so many hours in a day. So then I decided to start helping people do that. And that's kind of where that direction kind of took me into where I am kind of now.
cool. So, and real quick, I'm going to make this first section about business, and then we're going to go into some crazier stuff later on. But pretty much building websites, right? A lot of people in the past, I've talked about building websites through High Level and charging somewhat lower ticket. But however, I know that you charge higher.
Yes.
So for everyone at home, what is a realistic price that you can charge someone without them really giving you backlash or giving you any sort of like resistance?
At the very beginning, I was charging $500 for a website at the very, very beginning, and I was doing it on Shopify, and then I dabbled in a few other web platforms or like web hosting. So I think like at the beginning, I don't think it's wrong to overpromise, because I think you'll live up to the standards you overpromise people. You truly will. And so I think it is a good thing to overpromise to people and charge more than you think maybe you should be charging. But for myself, I felt comfortable charging $500. I knew I could give that value. And what happened for me is it was kind of backwards, where I created the website for $500 and then I spent all this time and all this energy into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be charging like $1,000. So then the next client, I was like $1,000. And then after that, it was like a month later, like I got 2 or 3 more clients. And I'm like, oh, I should charge like $1,200 or I should charge $2,000. And it slowly started to go up. Actually, not even slowly, it was very quickly, because it was literally
client,
every client
Yeah.
I started charging more. And it wasn't because I felt like, oh, I'm more valuable or like this is what I should be charging. It was just like, I'm spending this amount of time. I physically can't spend this amount of time without charging more for it to be literally just worth my time. So I would say at the beginning, with high level, I mean, if you're a creative person and you're doing good work and that's a gift of yours, you could start out charging $1,500 and then you could literally just scale up from there. There's nothing wrong with starting low, or even like Alex Hormozi talks about giving your products away for free. There is nothing wrong with telling someone like, hey, I'm going to build you a website for free, and then let them be your free marketing. Because I've even given websites away for free just for the aspect of marketing and for my own experience. My first high level website was actually, I did for free for a girl. So I think it's really important to like get to know it and like obviously offer your value, but like, yeah, it kind of depends on the person, I think. But yeah, I started at 500. It's pretty low.
Started at 500 and then scaled up to now several $1,000s per site. I mean,
Yes.
If you guys are struggling to get clients, I always say to go to people you know first, but if that still falls through, as Parisa said as well, giving out a site and pretty much promising a business owner to go ahead and build a site for them in return as for like a testimonial, I think that's a really good play, because when you have more testimonials, more people are going to want to trust you and work with you.
Yep.
And I've seen it in my life. I know you've seen it in yours, and pretty much social proof is the key to getting more clients.
100%. Yeah.
So now, in terms of high level stuff, what are your thoughts on the entire AI side of like automating stuff? Because we all know high level has like automations and stuff.
Yep.
But that's kind of like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to AI right now.
I think AI is definitely the next wave for sure, 1,000% without a doubt. I think for new people starting and beginning, it's a huge, like there can be a huge learning curve within high level. It's not the easiest platform to use, I think, for a lot of people, which shouldn't scare people away. It should just be like, I'm going to spend the time and learn this because it's going to be worth it in the end, because it is worth it. But I think at the beginning, when I was starting with the automations, before even the AI automations, just automations in general, I was really shied away from it, and I just wanted to pay someone to do it. Like we spoke about this in the beginning. I was like, I'm just gonna hire someone and just like download a snapshot. Like I don't want to deal with this. Like it's a lot of work. But I think what I discovered is that sometimes it's good to spend the time, spend the effort, and learn it yourself, because then you know exactly how it works. When you have customers come to you or ask you how does it work, you've literally spent the hours of time doing it, and so you can attest to it versus you just talking out of your ass, for lack of better words, because you haven't actually done it yourself. So the AI, the new integration of ChatGPT, which is a newer integration within high level, I think is going to be huge. And even like the APIs that we discovered, you can literally create any automation you can possibly imagine with that. Like it's endless, it's infinite.
Yeah. What was that? About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and we stayed locked in an office room for 11 hours straight, pretty much. And off camera, one of our other friends and Parisa's boyfriend, Derek, how long were you in there for? 13 hours?
It was like 14 hours.
For 14 hours? He's locked in on
Yeah.
whatever he's doing. But yeah, I mean, the entire world of automations and AI just goes on forever.
Yes.
And I'm really interested in seeing how it kind of matures, because I actually made a video today. If you guys didn't watch it yet, I made an entire video regarding what I believe you should do if you're looking to start an AAA or an automated AI agency from like as a beginner. And I actually advised you not to, because I said to start with no-code SaaS first, or brand it as an automated SMMA, and then once you start bringing on a few clients for like regular services and stuff, such as building a website, then you would then go ahead and offer a higher ticket AI automation bot system, whatever. I think that's one of the better ways to lead with it right now, because it's still so new, and it's just overwhelming, because a lot of people are trying to jump into the game, and AI automations are going to be the future, but it's just too early to know exactly what to do. Like, I have people in my like Discord and stuff doing good with like selling AI chatbots and stuff, but they're already experienced and they're already offering. And like this one guy, for example, he goes ahead and builds landing pages for businesses, and that's his main like offer hook.
Right.
And then he goes and upsells some AI chatbot or something for the site. So I always recommend to start with the evergreen type of offers, and then go ahead and go for the home run AI offer
100%.
on top of that.
And I think it's good to know like what you're getting into before you're just like, oh, I'm just going to start an AI automated agency, where you need to at least have some backbone and some structure of like you know, what you're going to do and how you're going to structure your business. Because you could really go into it blindly, and it is such a new thing, and I think it's going to for sure blow up. But yeah, it's good to have structure before just like jumping headfirst into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wrapping up high level stuff before we move on, what are your goals for the end of this year? Because we're already more than halfway through the year. So what are your goals for business, whether it's high level, outside of high level? What are you thinking by the end of this year?
I think by the end of this year, like I think my business model has slightly changed in context to like where I began at the start of the year. And I think I scaled a little bit quicker than I thought I was going to. And so I think my biggest goal would be to completely transition into being a growth partner and having that business model versus just building websites. I love building websites for my clients, but I think it's more applicable to actually help them scale and grow, because most people who want a website, at least from my experience, I build them a website and that's all fun and great, but then they have no idea how to run it. They don't know how to do marketing. They don't know how to integrate any type of AI or automations. They know nothing about CRM or campaigns, emails, SMS, anything like that. And while I don't like love doing all those little tiny things, all those little things are really important for your business, and once those are automated and done, like you need to integrate that into your business structure. Otherwise it's not going to be successful. And it's not even me just being like, this is the only way. It just truly, you have to have structure for your business to be successful. And so I think like I really enjoy working with people starting, not necessarily starting from the ground, but like starting out small and scaling. And I really enjoy that process of working with someone and seeing that growth. And so that is the direction I am hoping to go. And so I'm kind of just, my hope and goal is to transition out of web design alone and just be doing growth partner stuff and profit splits on businesses and companies that I foresee like a high value return on versus just kind of any website, any business. I want to be a little bit more picky. I want to work with more high-end clients who I can foresee myself being, really good friends and business partners in the future, and just kind of honing in my clientele a little bit more on the kind of higher end scale.
Okay, so I like that. And real quick, the growth partner stuff is pretty much when you step in and you're going to say, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z for you. Let me go ahead and set everything up, set up the foundational systems, and in return, I want an initial setup fee as well as whatever percent you actually want to take. It's usually what, less than 20% what you guys usually offer?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
So we are in an interesting position because we have all the power when it comes to the technology and software in this case, and that is what a lot of people lack. And like I said before a couple minutes ago, this stuff's so new that most business owners, it's like a buzzword pretty much. It reminds me of like NFTs, like in 2021, where like the Web3 space was full of like certain buzzwords and YouTube was popping off for certain things, but that's how I feel how AI is going to be. But wrapping all that together, I think that building those relationships with like long-term customers is definitely the move, because then that's also going to lead to more referrals and more business and just snowball pretty much.
100%. And I think too, just to like tag off of that, I have one big realization I've had, and not even been doing this for a year yet. Technically speaking, this specific thing is that I have realized I would much rather work with a higher ticket client than work with businesses that I don't necessarily, it's not that I don't believe in them, but it's just like, it doesn't go along with my vibe or my character, or, you know, it doesn't necessarily something I want to work with. And in the beginning, obviously you are working with everybody and anybody, because
you
you're
don't
just
have the freedom of choice yet.
Yeah, you're just trying to make money. You just want to build your clientele. You want to get reviews, whatever it is. But as time has gone on, I think, like actually even in the last 2 weeks, I've declined 2 people to work with 2 people. And it's kind of sad. It's hard because I definitely, I don't like telling people no. I do want to help them, but in stepping back, looking at their business model, seeing the motivation they had for their business, what they do on the weekends, looking at their lifestyle.
Yeah, their personal life matters a bunch.
It is 1000%. Like, I hate to say it, but like when I looked at the personal life, the weekend life, the everything else, without going into too much detail, it was very telling to me, and I was like, I don't want actually anything to do with this business, because it's going to be more effort and more work and actually more stress on me, and the money actually wouldn't make it worth it. So, yeah.
Guys, your habits in one area will carry on into every other area of your life. And I actively turn down people too. Like, if I see it being more of an annoyance against or versus the payout, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, I used to be more of like a pushover in that term when I was trying to get clients and stuff, and even later on when I was a little bit more established. But now, if I look at you, like, no judgment, right? But like, if I look at you and I can see that I don't like a lot of things that you do, or your personal life in this case, or some of your habits, or some of the things you're talking about, or even just like the opportunity, I don't want anything to do with it. I'd rather have more of my free time to work on something else that I'm doing for myself and for my own brand than have a headache for someone else for X amount of money, honestly.
Yep. And I think I have gotten to the point that I would literally rather go broke than work with someone that I don't believe in.
Really?
Like, I would literally rather go broke than work with that, because I know that just around the corner is the right client. And I know if I wait,
It's a good mindset.
because the thing is that the thing now that I'm realizing, which I did not realize before, is that when I spend my time on all these little, for lack of better words, little clients, when I spend my time on all these little clients that are not the type of clients I want to work with, I'm losing out on the big clients, because my mind is so focused. We were just talking about this 2 weeks ago. My mind is so focused on busy work, I couldn't even focus on big clients. And so I think that is just a huge mindset shift, where I'm like, that's why I'm saying I would rather go broke than work with all these small clients, because I know if I am patient enough and I wait, the right clients are going to come along. But if I try to make myself busy in the meantime, I'm not going to meet those clients.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's common knowledge that a lot of the people that are like beginners and stuff, or people that just don't really have the resources, are more needy and more attentive for wanting every little thing to be perfect. But the people that have the money are like, I trust you. Here's your revenue split. Do what you got to do.
Yep.
We'll catch up in a few days.
1000%.
Like, they're not texting you all day. And that was an issue I actually faced bringing on new people that were like kind of in a rough spot, because they were constantly on me 24/7. And I was like, yo, like, y'all got to chill, because I'm helping you, of course, but I have to work with other people too. And I don't like you texting me at 9:30 p.m. at night when I'm trying to just like relax. I don't want to be texting you about your website, man. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that's just part of the entire process of learning. Like, okay, let me not work with this kind of person, or this kind of, if someone's in this kind of position, maybe not work with them as much as, like you said, as much as we want to help people. Sometimes it's not worth it. As weird, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah. I think
it's
too.
Just bad.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, like, I would have said this up until literally last month, that I have said this to clients or people that are potential clients. Like, I literally would jump in front of a train for my clients. Like, I will die.
Die hard.
Oh, literally, I will, and I did it for all my clients up till very, very recently. If a client texts me at 11 p.m., you better believe I'm opening up my laptop and I'm getting on their website. I had a client launch one time it was like 10 p.m. She went to bed and the product wasn't live on the website. The product she launched wasn't live. And I saw her Instagram story.
One job.
And it's funny because I'm friends with her, so it's all good. But like, she had posted her Instagram story and was like, go check out my new, whatever it was, earrings or something, I don't remember. But I went to the link and it wasn't on the landing page, it was on the homepage, and I was like, oh no. So I logged into her Shopify without her knowing. She went to sleep. I logged into her Shopify. I made a collection. I made a few edits on the website just so people could check out and see it, because there was nowhere for them to search it. There was nowhere for them to find the product.
Yeah.
And so that is the way I've always treated my clients. Like, I'm gonna look out for them. If it's midnight, it doesn't matter if I'm up and I'm even watching a movie, or I'm up or I'm eating dinner. Like, I will grab my laptop and I will work on your stuff. I don't have a problem with that, because that's my drive. However, I think that it does lead into, again, the having higher end clients. They're probably not going to be asking you to do those things,
and they're not going to forget to put their site and product live on the site.
Yeah, or I would be the one doing that. It'd be my responsibility.
Yeah.
But also, you know, having clients text you on holidays and stuff like that. Again, like, I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, it's a holiday, leave me alone. But it is a matter of respect, and you just notice that with certain clients that don't have that mutual respect. They text you really late at night, or, you know, really, really early in the morning. If they're in a different time zone, there's a disconnect. And so it's just like, you know, honing in what type of people do I want to work with. Yeah.
So I think we ramble a little bit there on that topic, but I think that you guys will get some value out of it, because as you guys go along your journey, you're going to realize all the stuff we're saying is pretty much facts. And of course, you unfortunately really can't start with the big whale clients in the beginning unless you're already super experienced or have some sort of skill set. But you guys will be able to go ahead and, you know, climb the ladder, if you would say, in terms of bringing on clients and being more picky as time goes on and as your experience and testimonials go. So moving on from high level and just agency bullshit in general,
yes,
let's jump into some stuff outside of business. So do we want to talk about stuff with the military? I think that's really interesting. Like,
yeah, definitely. That's fine.
How did you get into the military?
Like how did I decide?
Yeah, like what made you want to go that route out of everything?
Hilarious, because literally nothing. Like,
what?
Because I feel like sometimes people have this whole story where, like, I've just always been this person, and like I've always wanted to join, and my whole family was in it. It's just like ran in the family, and like that's just super not me at all. That's so not what happened. I think I had wanted to, maybe from the age of like 18, it had kind of occurred to me, and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to join the military. I've always been like a tomboy. I've always been kind of like quote unquote badass. Like, I just always felt like that was my personality, maybe like a little bit more masculine energy almost. And so I think like at 18, I had like the thought that I wanted to do it, and then 19, 20, kind of forgot about it. My ex-boyfriend actually at the time was like, if you join, like, we probably won't be together. Like, if you join, like, there's no way this relationship is going to work. So that was like, obviously that kind of stopped me at that time. Obviously not his fault, but like, you know, whatever, stopped me at the time. And then when I turned, you know, after that kind of, that breakup happened, you kind of go through like a little crisis in your life. I want to say midlife crisis, but I was like 21. And, I think it was like during that time that I was like just discovering myself and what I wanted to do. And I just like literally knew if I just sat and did nothing, that would be a huge mistake. And so I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to join the military. That's like literally how it happened. Exactly what happened.
So you basically just said, screw it, I'm going in.
Yeah. I had moved to California for 6 months, and I was living there, and I was doing hair out there for a little bit, because I've been a hairstylist for a little bit, and I loved doing hair. It was like such a passion of mine. I'm so creative. But once I moved to California, actually it is kind of a very small funny story, where I was living out there, and I was just kind of unhappy because I just didn't really know. I felt directionless, I felt like, and I'd moved out there for really no reason, just to kind of get away from friends and family. I wanted to start over. I'm like a very, I can start over very easily. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, I could move away from everyone and everything I've ever known, and it doesn't bother me at all.
That's how it was for me moving out here for the most part.
Like just completely unattached, which is a great trait to have, because it makes it really easy to start over. And so I was living out there for about 6 months, and one day I was like, it was the fires. It was the Thomas fires that like burned hundreds of thousands of acres, like hundreds of thousands of acres. It was so scary. It was the most traumatic thing I've actually ever experienced, because when you see the fires surrounding the city you're in and people are evacuating, and you're literally watching mile by mile the fire get closer.
Just eating it up.
It's so actually terrifying. I'm to this day, I'm actually scared of fire. It's like my worst nightmare. And so I actually was woken up at like 3 a.m. in the middle of the night to the entire power outage out in the house. I was home alone. I was staying with relatives. And I went to check my phone, and I saw that the fires were like really close. And I like in my head thought it was right outside the door. I freaked out, and I actually just packed all my stuff, and I just left, and I just drove. I was like, I have to just go, because you don't know where the fire is, and it was pitch dark. I was so scared for my life.
If the fire was so close, how was it pitch dark?
Well, like, I mean, because you're in the mountains, so you don't know where it is.
Okay.
You can't necessarily see very far. Like, we were at the top of a mountain, but Santa Barbara is very hilly. Yeah. So in any case, I just packed everything. Also, imagine being in crisis mode, and like, you know how the joke is, like, if a fire, what would you grab? If there was a fire, what would you grab? That was like literally what happened. So I grabbed my shit, and I was like, okay, I just need to like go back to LA because there wasn't any fires around LA. I'm just gonna like chill out there. So I went there. I was staying with a friend for a little bit, and I obviously had nothing to do, and everything had shut down in Santa Barbara. And I just I went to the liquor store. I grabbed a bottle of wine, and I went to the beach, and I drank the entire bottle. And I literally just sat there with a notebook, and I was just writing in the sand. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with my life? Like, what am I doing? And it was actually that literal next day that I got on a plane, came back and spoke to a recruiter, and then I joined right after that.
Wow.
Yep.
So another reason, that's actually a crazy story.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that
Yeah.
until right now. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to even jump into the military conversation as well is because I've had a countless amount of guys actually come to me, like whether it's on Zoom calls or literally on Instagram DMs, and they're like, yo, dude, like I'm thinking of going to the military because I really don't know what else to do. And my advice is always now, like, nah, like don't do that, because in my opinions, the military isn't really what it was like years and years ago.
Correct.
Because things have changed in the world. There's certain movements, and it's just like, bro, like you're fighting for the country that's like against you pretty much in a way. Like, I don't want to go into too into detail, but
I'll go into detail.
I mean, I don't know if you really want to.
I think I did.
You had an interesting experience towards the end.
Yeah, and I didn't know that was your thought on it either. And it's
No.
always interesting to hear what other people have to say. People ask me all the time, should I join the military? And I say, abso-fucking-lutely not. You should not join the military. I think this is what I do believe. I think if we had a system in our country, or if we had our own system where at 18 you had to go join and serve your country for 2 years, and you weren't allowed to go to college, you had to join the military for 2 years, you had to serve your country, but you got free school afterward, so you had to put in the time. You had to, that was just something that was required. I think that would be really cool, because it forces you to understand that you don't get to be entitled living in the US, that you are respectful to your country, and you owe like your country your loyalty. And so I think that would be something that would be cool and would be good. But for people that are just joining because they don't know what to do, you know, whatever, because like you quote unquote get free school, there's a lot more commitment that goes into it than just the free school. And in my opinion, it's not worth it. And of course, I don't really believe in college anyway, even though I got up to a master's degree, or I almost got my master's degree. It's like, I think it is a good idea, and in theory it seems like a good idea to join the military, but the problem is if you're someone who thinks for yourself and you have your own opinions and you are a leader in any way, shape, or form, you all of that will literally be sucked out of you, because you have to be brainwashed, because how else will you follow orders if you're not brainwashed? And it's not like, I'm not shitting on the fact that is something that the military, that is their purpose, because it needs to be done in certain situations for sure. But I, as an individual, felt very stripped of who I was as a person. And I also felt that after, like during the whole COVID thing, like during that whole process, I was very humiliated. I was very embarrassed for my beliefs, or I wasn't embarrassed. I was very humiliated for what I believed in. And anything that you do to stand up for yourself or stand out from the crowd, you are 1000% going to be the black sheep. And you're going to stand out, and people are going to judge you for that, and you're going to get shit on. And you wouldn't believe the amount of higher ranking people made me, like, if I wasn't, it made me just feel so terrible about myself. And I am like super not an insecure person in any way. So it was a very bad experience for me, and so I would never suggest it for anyone else.
I have a friend that I actually have several friends that are in the military, but the one story I'm thinking of is he joined, I think it was the Navy, I'm trying to remember, so a branch of the military. He joined the Navy and he has like 1 or 2 years left. And I asked him, this was like 4 months ago, we were in my friend's garage because he has a gym in the garage, and we got done our workout, and I was like, or he was like, yeah, I got to drive back down to Virginia because we were up in New Jersey. And I was like, damn, bro, like, you got to leave tonight? And he's like, yeah, I have to go to my base and shit. And I was like, because he's a year older than me, so he graduated high school a year earlier than me. And I was like, do you actually like enjoy being in the military? And like without hesitation, he was like, no, I actually really hate it. And I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh shit, well, why don't you like it?
Yeah.
And pretty much all the same reasons you said.
Yeah.
Your lack of quote unquote freedom and like the access of you being able to be an individual in the military is removed because you need to be able to listen to certain people and follow a certain like agenda within the military.
Yep.
And you don't have time freedom. Like bro had to go drive to Virginia, which is like a 7-8 hour drive from where we live at nighttime to get to his base by like 4 a.m.
Yep.
Like, if you're willing to join the military to instill discipline because you can't instill it in any other ways in your life, that's what you're going to have to do for several years because he's on contract.
Yeah.
When you join a branch, you're on contract. You can't just say, you know what, I don't like this. You can't just leave like a regular job.
No.
Be like, you know what, my 2 weeks, I'm going to leave. Nah, you're locked in for the period.
Yeah, for a minimum of 4 years. It's 4 to 8 years, depending on what you sign up
he signed
for.
a 4-year contract,
Yeah.
and he has like 1 or 2 years left. I think 1.5 years.
Yeah, and the bummer too is like, it's not like you're getting paid all this great money. Like people are like, oh, you're getting paid good, you're getting school, like you're getting a bonus. It's like, at the end of the day, you work like a dog. And really is being locked into a 6-year, so what I have is a 6-year contract, is being locked into a 6-year contract at making X amount of money better than becoming an entrepreneur and being able to make 100 times that in that amount of time. That is absolutely not worth it. Now, for the discipline aspect, that's an interesting perspective too, because I feel like a lot of people think that me being into fitness or me being into health or me being into having discipline or waking up early is because of the military, and actually has nothing to do with it. Couldn't be further from the truth. That is something that I feel is important as a part of my character. Is I like to work out, I like to eat healthy to be the best version of myself, and I like to lift heavy weights. That has nothing to do with the military. You run, you do push-ups, you do crunches, and that's about it in the military. And their standards have lowered so much, and that's another reason it's such a huge bummer, because when you join, you think you're serving your country and you think you're signing up for this really noble thing, and back in the day it was like that. That is how it was. It isn't like that anymore. It isn't the noble, honorable thing to do anymore. They've lowered the standards so incredibly much that it's like, I could damn near walk the mile. Like, that's so sad. It shouldn't be that way. Yeah. And so, obviously my perspective of the military is very negative, but I'm sure, there are people that have a good experience with it and that have been in for years and that, retired and stuff like that. And I respect those people massively.
Of course.
But, obviously that was kind of my experience, and I had a very bird's eye view of a lot of the people that had that bad experience. And so that's kind of what I bring to the table with it.
Yeah, it's not, and just to clear it up too, it's not like we're bashing the people in the military. We're just giving our opinions and our advice in terms of the people that we know that are in the military that are telling us firsthand, and you're firsthand as well. So I personally have never been in the military. I'm just speaking from experience of my friends that are in the military, and as well as talking to Parisa here. So no disrespect towards them. They're the ones that are waking up early every morning and putting in the effort to do whatever they're told, pretty much. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Yes.
I think my friend's base was in North Carolina too, not Virginia. I forget, but I just wanted to clear that up too. But,
and massive respect to the people that do decide to be in for long periods of time and do decide to retire, because it's a huge commitment. And a lot of people who deploy, like, that is like one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Leave for 6 months, even training, like being gone for 2 months, in basic training, it's hard. And then being gone for 4 months away from everything, locked on a base, especially during COVID, like, you can't do anything. And if you have any even morsel of like being depressed or having anxiety or anything like that, it's going to come out during those times, because you're alone, you have nothing. And so it really does teach you a lot in those aspects. But for the rest of the world, and for people wondering about joining at this current time, I think that would be my advice. Is not joining.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page then when it comes to which way you want to go in your life. Because as you said before, there's so many options for you to actually go ahead and make it. And if you feel directionless right now, just spend a little bit more time figuring out exactly what you want, and then going ahead and studying the people that are in the position that you want to be in. Study them, look at their habits, look at their daily routines, and start implementing that into your own life, because following someone that's already gotten to where you want to be is going to be your blueprint to actually achieving similar results as the person has. So I know a good amount of guys feel directionless, feel alone, feel empty, because it's just the way things are right now in society. And I guess now I'm one of those people that other guys come to for that sort of direction. So I just wanted to go ahead and drop that for you guys. So spend some more time to make sure you know what you're doing before you go ahead and sign that contract.
Yes.
Because
yes.
you're locked in.
Yeah, and I was going to say on that note too, just like getting to know yourself and being directionless, I think it's really important to note that when you are directionless, like obviously every single person has been in those shoes, whether that's when you were 10 years old or when you were 15 or 16 or 21, like everyone has been in those shoes at one point in time. It's the reason you feel directionless is because you don't know yourself well enough. Because the truth is if you know yourself so unbelievably well, you're gonna know what you're good at and you're gonna know what direction to go. And it could be anything from painting a picture, if that's what you're good at, to literally talking to people. You know, it can be anything simple. It doesn't have to be this crazy, extravagant idea. If you know yourself very, very well, then you're gonna know what you're good at and you're gonna know what your direction is. And the only way to know yourself very well is to spend time alone, doing things and learning things. That is literally the only way you will ever know those things. It's not gonna be by going out and getting drunk. It's not gonna be by hanging out with your friends all night and just fucking off, for lack of better terms. It's gonna be you spending time alone, you learning, you trying new things, making yourself uncomfortable, because when you're young, there's so many, there's infinite amount of things that you can do and try before you even are remotely close to choosing one thing. Like everyone is so set on this, like you gotta choose one thing when you're 18 and then you gotta stick with it for the rest of your life. Like that's the most
outdated now.
That's so outdated, and that's the most BS thing I've ever heard, and I'm so sad that I even fell into that, like back in the day. But it's like, no, if you know yourself and you spend the time to get to know yourself, then you will not have a question. You'll know what you're good at. It's not gonna be a question.
I had a little exercise that I did to actually go ahead and funnel in what and who I wanted to be. So it's going to sound funny, but a couple of years ago, I actually not locked myself, but I went into my closet, pitch black, no lights, and I literally sat there. I literally sat in my closet thinking, what don't I like? Because it's easier to say what you don't like versus what you do like, because you may not know what you like. So by identifying what you don't like in life, you're going to go ahead and eliminate certain things that you may do in the future. And by having that sort of direction, you're going to think of it as like a web, right? And there's several paths that you're going in life. If you go ahead and identify what you don't like, you're going to cross off 2 of those paths. And then you have 2 other paths that you can go ahead and pursue if you really wanted to. And then from that point forward, you can say, okay, well then what do I like then? And then that's what takes a little bit more effort, figuring out what you actually do like, and then going from there. But I think if you're able to go ahead and spend the time alone, and the reasoning you're putting yourself in a room by yourself with no stimulants or no distractions is because you want to be alone with your thoughts and see what arises, because it's so easy nowadays to just sit on social media and scroll and like ignore everything and be on autopilot. The whole point is for you to be actually fully present, thinking, okay, what do I like? What do I don't like? Who do I want to become? Who do I not want to be? And go from there.
And I think even something as simple as writing down pros and cons, like literally writing it down seems kind of stupid, but like if you write down things that you enjoy and things that you don't enjoy, it's a little bit easier to break it down and compartmentalizing in your head, because sometimes your subconscious is always thinking and gathering information and putting it in different boxes. And sometimes if you can just write it out, your brain is going to see it and actually think of it differently. So that's why people talk about, journaling and stuff is really important, because the moment you start writing that out and it's a physical action, your brain instantly thinks of it differently than if it's in your head. It's like saying something out loud. You're going to think of it differently. And I would also argue too, not against anything you said, but what other people say about getting to know yourself and doing things and going out and hanging out with people and stuff like that is I would actually avoid hanging out with people, like almost, because I think sometimes what other people say and other people's perspectives completely skew what you should be doing. And actually, if I really dig back and think about it, because I'm 30 now, so when I think about all the opinions I've gotten in my life and all the things people told me not to join the military, people told me not to move to California, people have told me, not a lot of people, but people have told me not to do those things, people have told me to do those things. If I really sit back and think about all the opinions people have given me, and if I were to sit back and say, do I even know if that was what I felt like or what I wanted to do? I have no idea. So sometimes I think it's really good to remove your family, remove your friends, and just remove the noise and figure out what it is that you truly want. Because if you can't figure it out, it's because there's too much noise. It's because there's too many people, there's too many opinions. Stop asking your friends. You know what you want to do. You should know that, not your friends.
Yep.
So it's like getting people's perspectives is so toxic, I feel like. You are the only one who knows yourself. You live in your own head, no one else does.
I actually like that a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been able to go ahead and like be more selective with what I'm doing at a younger age, is because most of my high school, for the most part, like my entire 4 years in high school, I had my group of friends that I always hung out with. Like, I don't want to say always hung out with, but I hung out with them a lot. We played video games and stuff. But the times that I wasn't talking to them, I would be by myself. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I talk to my parents a lot, but like every other time I'm by myself, and that's like multiple hours per day of me just thinking. Mm-hmm. And I'm like deep in thought, like every day, philosophical, if you would say, right? Mm-hmm. But when you are around a lot of people all the time, your thoughts are going to get diluted, you're going to get distracted, you're going to get pulled in one direction. And if you're able to go ahead and like spend that time with yourself to really get clear with what you know is best for you, then I think that's like a golden ticket to being mm-hmm. more focused, being more self-disciplined, because you know what you need to be disciplined to improve on. And yeah, just like
and
get
like
better.
And two, you don't need other people to tell you what to do. You don't need to be accountable to anyone else. And I think sometimes people, they want to tell their friends, they want to talk about it because they want that either reaffirmation because they feel like they're not confident in that decision, or they want they are just like the noise. I don't even know why it is we go to other people, but sometimes like, you know, you have to think about like, you do not need the accountability of anyone to do what you want to do. You don't need someone to hold you accountable to do what you already know what you need to do, because at the end of the day, whatever is in your head and whatever you're thinking, you're not always going to voice what you're thinking. You don't even know what you're thinking sometimes. It's subconscious.
I said something crazy before we started filming.
Yeah, it's like you don't even know like half the time what's going on in your brain or when you're sleeping. So it's like it is important, I think, once you do know what you want to do, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah,
so obviously not to be confused with that later on step. But I think like you already know what you should be doing. You should be accountable to yourself. You don't need other people to be telling you what to do. You should know, and you need to know for yourself.
Goes back again to your social circle and your friends, whoever you surround yourself with, you're going to become, and whoever's content you consume, you're also going to become. Mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. All right, let's pivot into something. You asked me something.
Oh, earlier?
No, you asked me anything.
Oh,
I was
okay,
asking you a bunch of questions. Do you have anything you want to ask me?
You want us to talk about something controversial?
Sure. Get canceled right away.
Yeah. Well, I think it would, if you want to touch on it, what is your view about the masculine movement of men more recently? Is that too controversial?
No, we can jump into it.
Yeah, what is your view of like because I think the more recent masculine movement in a very positive way, I feel is positive. There always comes a little bit of, you know, you have your extremists and then you have the people that are correct. Mm-hmm. Obviously we have our own perspective of that, but like there are the extremists and there are the people that maybe have a little bit more of a toxic view of it, and then there are the people that really genuinely just want men to be more masculine. And so I would be curious like what your take on that as a whole is, as it is like a movement really.
So to paint it broad, I think the whole movement is good for guys. And the reason I say that is because nowadays guys are so weak that even the most extreme people in like the red pill space, I believe in general that they're good, because they say good stuff. They say a lot of good things, and of course they have the extreme beliefs that they have, without calling anyone out. But we as young guys need to be kind of shouted at and called out for a lot of our shortcomings, because we've been babied most of our life, especially if you grew up like in a comfortable, environment. Everything's pretty much like already handed for you, and basically we have no other alternative, or we have no motivation to go ahead and actually like be better, because society tells us to be weak and be more emotional, when that completely goes against our hardwiring, and it completely messes up any sort of relationship dynamic. So in general, I think a lot of the guys in the red pill space are doing more of a positive than a negative. So I think me personally, in my experience, even watching their content has improved my life in all areas, because it's really kind of called me out to where I'm falling short in, and it's called me out to where I need to level up and just improve.
And I think in general, I think too, like, it is, from a female perspective, I think it is really good that men are like standing up and having a really, for us, I think for a lot of society, it feels extreme, even though it's really not extreme. I think it's good that men are standing up and saying, like, what happened to our masculinity? Why are we not masculine anymore? Like, what happened? And instead, it's funny, because being men about it, what do men do? They just do things. They're not all the time being emotional about it. They're just like, instead of trying to figure out like, oh, why are we like this? What happened? What should we do? They're just like, we're just going to be more masculine, and we're just going to start doing these things, and then we're going to start preaching it, and we're going to start educating people. And I think that's really cool. I think there are the extremists that, of course, we will all, some people will disagree with, but I think overall it is doing a very good service to a lot of young men who really truly do need to hear it, because the thing is like, we hear enough of the other side.
Yeah. We
got to hear the other side too. Like, you got to hear both sides, and then let the people decide. You can hear both sides, and if you think, no, I don't want to be masculine, that's fine, but at least you have the option to hear what that crowd and that movement has to say. And you know what? Watch by their lifestyle. See who lives a better lifestyle. See who lives longer. See who's happier. And then you judge by the results. And I think we live in a free country. You can decide from that.
Yep. Yeah, just building on that. I mean, when I first started watching that kind of content, I was definitely not as strong-minded as I am today. And that goes back to me even mentioning how like it's kind of called me out for my shortcomings, because I've never had to be held accountable for certain things in my life until I was called out on it. And just like, I started watching that kind of content when I was more soft, and that's why I started watching it, because I knew something was off in my life, and I knew that I was out of balance. And when I forget even how I came across, oh, that's right. So I randomly found this video of Andrew Tate online. And I was like, this guy is hilarious, and he's saying some funny stuff. I looked into him more, eventually stumbled upon him being on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and then everything kind of just snowballed from there. So I've definitely would say it's improved my life, because like you said, we've been told every single day, you got to do this, you got to do that. Be weak, paint your nails, cut your dick off. Like, nah.
And I think there's a balance of it too. It's like we've been being told all these other things for so long that society has accepted as normal, and it's completely taken over the space. And while I'm not against all of it, it's like, that's fine for a lot of people, and they want to live their life like that. No one has an issue with that if you want to go ahead and live your life like that. But there also needs to be the balance of hearing the other side and what they have to say, and their, what they bring to the table. And I think that's where I'm really happy about this movement, because I think it brings a good balance back in where no one was talking about it before.
Yeah.
So.
I literally can't really remember anyone that was really talking about it that had like an actual decently sized platform. Like, everyone knows Rollo Tomasi was always talking about like the red pill stuff, but that was more not focused on masculinity. I only read the first book. I didn't read all the other ones. But I mean, I think the first person to really do it was Tate.
Yeah.
To really blow up. Like, the Fresh and Fit guys started back at the end of 2021, and then they caught a lot of traction because there's a whole bunch of guys that stumbled across their content and were like, wow, this stuff is actually like facts. And as I'm applying it into my life in all areas is getting better. So I had nothing really bad to say about those guys. And even knowing them in person, they're really cool off camera as well. I know they get fired up on camera and say some stuff that you may not agree with, but they don't have any bad intentions with anyone. But relationship stuff now, do you want to pivot from that into something else, or?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what I was gonna ask you too, like what, because you asked me what are your goals for like the end of the year. I mean, that's kind of like going back to business.
That's fine. I mean, end of the year goals. Right now, I'm still in the process of launching my new coaching business. Well, like pivoting what I'm already doing, because I've technically been coaching stuff for the past 6 months. But I want to go ahead and scale that up to at least, like just that alone, at least 30,000 a month. Bringing on new people, making sure that they're actually getting solid results, and just even build new relationships from new students as well, because it's always cool to have people that join the program and actually do really good. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I really, really want to get a new supercar, because my whole objective is to stackpile cash for the next bear market lows in crypto, and then just dump it all into crypto, because that's what I kind of did last cycle and it worked. So I know crypto a lot more than anything else, so my whole objective was to just go ahead and dump it into a whole bunch of several things I'm watching out.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm like looking online some nights and I'm seeing, like, because I've like rented out like certain cars like in Miami and stuff, and I know how some of them are, and like whenever I'm in one, driving one, I'm like, shit, I kind of miss the ass thing. But we'll see how that goes. By
the end of the year, are you thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we'll keep that like 50% like iffy. I don't know. Because it's not the most smart financial decision to do that, but also at the same time, it would help the brand more.
It would help the brand and your connections.
Yep. The connections are a big thing. That was the main thing that actually helped me start networking with people. I went to my first supercar rally.
Yep.
It was from the west side of New Jersey, like the actual state, to the beach, so like an hour and a half drive. And it was me, I brought my friend, and we had an STO, several Rolls Royces in the fleet, Ferraris, Aston Martins as well, other Aston Martins. It was stacked. I felt like I was like part of the royal family or something like that. But we were on the highway just ripping it the whole time. And then when we got to the destination, we were at a really, really nice hotel on the water, on the bay. And I get out of the car and I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and start like talking to some of these people, because I never had really been like exposed to talking to new people that are already like established and stuff, because I bought my car and then kind of just didn't really talk to many people, if I'm being honest. I was like, all right, I have my car. All right, let me go back home and watch some YouTube videos. That's literally what I did. But when I actually went to the first event, I came into contact with people and they were so enamored and so like intrigued as to how I had a car, like what I was doing, and then like, oh, let's exchange information. And a couple of those relationships grew into being relationships I still have today. And that kind of really opened my mind to the entire dynamic of networking with people.
I mean, I feel like a huge milestone for you was moving here in general. That was
actually third on my list or second on my list.
Was moving here.
Yeah, the last time I was asked this was like, what are your goals for the end of the year? It was to either move to Miami or move to Arizona.
Yep.
And we did that.
Yeah.
We're here. So
yeah.
I can't really think of a third goal off the top of my head. Just, my fitness. I've been slacking with my fitness a good amount because I've been so like locked in on some of my other stuff. Get my weight up 20, no, that's not realistic for 6 months really, unless I did a dirty bulk. I just want to add at least 10 more pounds by the end of the year, because I've always been underweight most of my life, actually my entire life. And it's something I want to go ahead and eliminate. So ideally, I'm like 6'3". It'd be great if I could eventually go ahead and fill out to like 200, 210. That would be ideal, but we'll see what happens. But all right, we're gonna wrap this up here. We've been going for a hot minute. I hope you guys enjoyed this entire podcast here. We went into business stuff, life stuff, goals. If you guys made it this far, I really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to go ahead and add what your own goals are for the end of this year, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'd be interested. But Parisa, where can they find you?
So my Instagram is Parisa Parsicala, and it's super long, so probably just have to spell that one out. But
I'll put it in the description.
yeah, that's my Instagram, and same with Threads. I'm not really on Twitter.
Threads. That's the first time I heard someone plug
I
Threads.
know, yeah.
Yo.
I'm kind of into it though. I kind of
Oh, yeah?
like Threads, yeah. So Threads and Instagram are my main 2 platforms, and I'll be getting on YouTube here pretty shortly. So
Some new Go High Level content for you guys.
Yep.
But all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Looking forward to our next one. And I got a nice guest as well coming out next month, so you guys be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.